What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 29 of the Geek Cast. I am Bobby, the Geek Guru. Welcome. Basically, I want to tell you guys what's going on real quick. This is going to be a little bit different than normal, and that's because with my work schedule being what it is, I don't know that we're going to be able to record next week. So, essentially, this is Sunday. We're recording on Sunday, Allan and myself. But Saturday, when we typically record, we went over a little bit. So, we're pulling some of that audio because we went over, I don't want to say a little bit, we went over a lot. It was almost a 2-hour episode. So there was some stuff that took place at the end of the show that we're going to grab from there. We're going to put that. So when that point hits, you'll start to hear Toby again.
We're sorry about that. But
yeah, very sorry about that. But typically what we are is we are a geek-centric, mainly video game podcast. Sunday nights we air. It goes live on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and then during the week we break it out into different segments, and you can get that Monday through Thursday, and then Friday we put the entire video portion up in a compilated episode. So that's pretty much it. That's the spiel, and we're going to kick off with our Geek Out. So I am with Allan, my buddy from Scotland, and Toby, like I said, will be popping in later. Allan, what are you geeking out about?
Geeking out. I've pretty much made my decision. I think I'm gonna get some custom amiibo made. Because of yes. And again, it's actually the person you keep using. I'm gonna butcher this. Is it Zanderkin Sky?
Zanderkin Sky, you got it. It ain't as bad as mine. Mine was Zarnaki Sky.
Yeah, you were like John Travolta at the Oscars.
Yeah, Toby was like, what is, dude, you butchered that. So yeah.
But I've got a couple of ideas. I've talked to him about Bobby. I'm not going to share them because there's some enterprising.
You want to be the first. Out there. Yeah, you want to be the first. That makes sense. So,
but I've kind of set up that I have 3 ideas. 2 that I'm definitely wanting. 1 that if I have an extra spare bit of cash, would definitely do. So, I'm going to get in touch with her, and hopefully, I will have a similar type video. And Bobby just told me that she does packaging, so I don't even have to unbox them.
Yes, that's what's awesome. She does do packaging. She does the custom packaging. There are a couple other creators as well. I'm getting ready to. I did a video yesterday that'll go up this week. Actually, when you're listening to this, it went up this week already. So, but it's more or less basically what it is. It's the Toon link, and in that video, I kind of discuss and I talk about like, hey, I got one more commission I got coming from her. I'm going to do one more commission soon. I already know what that is, and as soon as I get this commission that I already did up and in, then I'll order another one from her. But there's a couple other guys, women that really are doing some amazing work, and it has me to the point where I'm like, okay, I want to start branching out, because my main thing is, and I talked about this in the Evilos podcast, was more or less amiibo aren't that hard to get anymore. It's kind of the tide has subsided. So what has me excited about amiibo are getting the ones that people don't have. And so the customs is where it's at right now for me. Like, that's got me excited. Now, I do pay more for them, obviously. But my feeling is that I have extra money now because of the fact that I'm not importing amiibo like I was prior. I was importing a lot, like entire waves from Japan. And I was paying like double the price for each amiibo because it was just, I didn't want to play that nightmare game anymore trying to get them. So for me, that's my game plan. And my game plan is to start dipping into these different creators and seeing who does what and finding out who I think is the best and all that. But I got some ideas for some different stuff. So I wholeheartedly, I approve what you're doing there, Allan. I like it.
Secret approval on a daily basis.
Yes. As everybody should. Everybody should do that.
Your ego's big enough. Come on. Nearly as big as mine.
Exactly. I'm geeking out about something that's coming up very shortly for me. Like, it's in the pipeline. It's in the works. I'm going to be purchasing an iPad Pro. And the main reason for that is I'm going to buy the pencil as well. I've talked about it, different podcasts and stuff. Like, I used to draw a comic strip back in the day, and I want to get back into drawing. I've missed it, but because of the iPad Pro and the abilities that it has, I feel like it can cut a bunch of different steps out of the way I used to do it. The way I used to do it is I had pen and paper, I draw in pencil, draw it all out, go back, ink it all, have to wait for the ink to dry, erase all the pencil. I'd have to scan it into the computer and then do some touch-ups, add some stuff to it, and then at that point, I would upload it. It was probably for one comic strip, it would take me a good day to do. So in logistic times, probably 6 to 8 hours from start to finish. I just don't have that kind of time anymore. So I feel like this can eliminate probably a good, at least half the time, maybe a little bit more. So I feel like if I can do maybe 1 or 2 comic strips a week and post them someplace, I don't know exactly where that all will come at some point, but I have some ideas kicking around for different comic strips I want to do. And I've got an idea for one, about a boy and his imaginary friend, and I've been kicking that around for a long time, and I've tinkered back and forth and bounced back and forth with it for a while. So I think I'm going to actually push and start doing that a lot. So we'll see. But
spoiler: the boy is Bobby.
No, the boy is my nephew, and not Andrew, not the older nephew. He's older now, but when I used to draw him back in the comic strip days, he was a little kid. My nephew TONI, and he lives in North Carolina now. But what we're playing, Allan, what are you playing?
Back to Xenoblade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do though. I'm fighting this one boss, keeps killing me. I'm gonna jump out, go and level up a bit, then go back, kick his ass.
If it's the one that I think it is it the one where it's the spoilers? It's kind of like it's
like a giant tiger.
Yeah, but you go down into the
big crater. Yeah.
Yes,
and it's after you fight the 3.
Yeah,
you can get the big one.
What you should do is you should fight the 3, run around the outer skirts of it, and fight them.
Yeah,
and then maybe teleport out and then teleport back in, and then keep fighting those. That's what I was doing. I got my levels up, and then the other thing is are you utilizing all your different things with
my arts? Yeah, I'm using the ones I've got. I mean, the thing.
What about the speed up art?
Right, here's the thing. Is that the blue?
That's the middle one. It's the middle one. It's like gears. It lights up in its gear. Okay, so the ones that say TP.
Yeah.
Don't use them at all. Okay. What you do is you fight the monsters on the outside and do not touch the TP stuff. Just fight with the other stuff. You should be strong enough that you can beat the monsters with that stuff.
Yeah.
Without using TP. And then when you finally go in to fight the boss, when you start rattling away, immediately, once you level up, you'll see the blue bar go all the way across.
Yeah.
You'll see a gear light up.
Yeah, hit that.
When you hit that, it speeds everything up, and you can rattle off like 6, 7, 8, 9 moves in a row before he even does anything. Because what happens is it speeds up your counter on everything. And it makes it much easier to, like, if you do a topple attack, a topple attack is right back there in like 10, 15 seconds, where normally it's like 30 seconds, So that's what you want to do. And then not only that, it makes all your team members as well attack faster.
Oh, that's good. I need to I want to know how you get more arts, because at the moment I think I've only gained 1 or 2 new ones.
Are you leveling up your arts?
I don't know. Am I?
That might be a problem. That could be the other reason why.
I'm just playing like a normal JRPG. I'm just running.
You got to go to man, and I don't even top of my head. I don't even know what it is. But when you push pause, I think you go to players, and then if you go to arts, right, you click it up. If you look, you'll have when you go to each art, you should see at the bottom. I think it's X to upgrade.
Yeah.
And you push X, and it'll upgrade it to the next level.
Okay.
That could be why you're struggling, because it only took me I struggled with them. I'm not going to lie. It took me maybe 3 or 4 times to beat them. But once I went and leveled up on the outskirts, I went right in and I beat them. Like, how long are you lasting when you fight them?
get to? He's about halfway, and then he just knocks the living
Yeah, no,
hell
you
out of
gotta.
the other guys.
I think you need to upgrade all your arts.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Upgrade your arts, and you'll find that you're really. And now, are you fully equipped to the max?
Weapon wise, yeah, I've added upgrades to all my weapons, and I've kind of upgraded all my weapons to the higher hit point. But
I also went back to the barracks and bought better weapons.
yeah, I've done that as well.
Yeah, and
So
that's helped a lot.
I'm tempted to change my character class though. I was thinking about.
I don't think the character class is going to have. Well, no, that's not true. I take the top tier is my character class. I don't know what that is. I know there's like 3 levels. There's top, like when you're looking at the grid, it's 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
top, middle, bottom. I take the top one. That's the one I'm using.
I'll get it fixed. It's just
Because the problem is here's the problem. When you change the class, now you got to change your arts. And then you're going to have to go back and build up all your arts and earn more.
Don't know if I've got that in me. I might just stick with what.
Stick with what you are. Stick with what you are, and then check about upgrading your arts. Because if you haven't been upgrading your arts, it explains why you're struggling a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
And even if you might have upgraded earlier on, and you just haven't upgraded recently, that could be a problem too. So make sure all that stuff's upgraded, and not only for you, but for all your team members as well.
Yeah, I'm going through them as well and upgrading them and try to keep them. They're already they're with me, but their weapon class, I'm upgrading them, buying them new guns and that.
But upgrade their arts.
I'm going to do that because I've not done it for me, so that's going to be the new.
Yeah, you'll see a dramatic change. You're probably now you'll upgrade all your arts. You go in there, you beat them like in 2 minutes. You'll be like, "What the hell?" And there's a lot of aspects to that game and they don't teach you much, like, which is fine. I'm good with that. But when you struggle on it, you struggle. And I'm going to tell you right now, before you go into chapter 8.
Oh, is this the massive fetch quest?
No, that's not a massive. It's no. Oh, this is the I don't want to spoil it, but there's a big battle that happens, and if you're not prepared for it, you can't get out of it at all.
I know which one you're meaning because I think accidentally. Is this the?
No. There is no accidentally. If you do it, there's no getting out of it. So
no. I think I got into it and is this the big thing sitting in the big lake?
No.
Okay.
This is it's the beginning of a chapter. You click to start a chapter, and this big cinematic scene happens, and then boom, you're in the middle of hell. So, and trust me, I think I'll look up the number. I think it's I want to say it's 8, but it's either 6 or 8. What are you at right now?
7? No, 6 or it must be.
It must be 8.
It's where you've picked up the aliens.
Yeah,
scale armor.
It's 8. So yeah. So I think you're at level 6, right? Or you're chapter 6 now. I believe chapter 8 is where it is. And man, do not start until you're leveled up. Like, gear your stuff up, because you think it's hard right now what you're doing. You ain't seen nothing yet.
So just start killing.
Actually, you got to get the skill. It's right after you get the skill. So you're right on the cusp right now.
Okay, I will level up before I'm doing chapter 8 then.
Yes, definitely. I am playing Shovel Knight on the PS4, and I started dipping back in a little bit last night playing, and I'm really, really loving it on the PS4. Does it look good? It looks good. It looks really good. I mean, it's pixel art, so there's not a lot of high definition you can really do to that. But that game is awesome. Like, I got surround sound in the living room, so it's like the surround sound and for the music, and it just looks beautiful. And it's not. I use the D-pad. I can't use the analog sticks when I play a game like that. So it's a little tough at first. Because their D-pad's a little different than Nintendo's D-pad. But I love that game. That game is awesome. And it's actually because Tony's been watching me play it. Like, she's really starting to fall in love with the game, like the storyline. And I didn't think she would. When I first played it on the Wii, she's like, "This game is stupid. Take it off." I was like, "Okay, no problem." So I stopped playing it around her. And then I started playing this one, and because I wanted to try it out on the PS4, mainly because of trophies and stuff like that. And I started playing, and she saw a little bit of the story where he's like upset about Shield Knight and stuff, and she was like, "Oh my god, this is such a sad story." And I was like, "Whoop whoop whoop," reeling her in. She's in now. She's like, so whenever I play it, she's like, "Oh, poor Shovel Knight" and stuff. There was a leak this week that was saying, they were saying what March, April is going to be when they announce the console. They're going to do a Nintendo Direct, and they're going to, I think it was on what, NeoGAF? Someone leaked it?
I'd have to double check.
I forget where, but I know, and I heard it this week, that there was a rumor that more or less Nintendo's going to announce the console and say what it is and give the name and all that in March, April. Then in E3, they're going to do more. I think that's what they need to do. I said that last week in our What If We Ran Nintendo thing. Like, I felt like they needed to get something out early. E3, pump us with the games, really showcase this thing, and then, launch it in the fall. So if those rumors are legit, that's makes sense. But into the last topic, the NX rumors. Where are you guys with these things? Like, what's your feeling with these things?
You know what? Like, as a big Nintendo fan, I'm always like interested in reading these rumors, but they never really mean anything. Not until Nintendo says they do. Like, because you do get conflicting information. You get a lot of analysts saying their piece, but I mean, what do they really know? I mean, you don't know. I mean, it's just kind of irritating, like Allan says, getting your hopes up about stuff and expecting things, but you don't know until Nintendo says something. So I'm getting a bit annoyed, really. So,
what about you, Allan?
And with TOBY and one, I love rumor. I think it's the fun part of all this, being a fanboy. It's the leaks, it's the finding stuff, but with Nintendo, as I say, I get to a point where it's like, you just need to tell us. I like that they've got mystery, but we're in the situation now we were with the Wii U, where leaks were coming out kind of every other week.
Yeah.
To the point where IGN, as I remember, I was speaking in the chat, they were building a PC with the similar spec they had just to see what games looked like on it. And, all that happened was Nintendo didn't get ahead of the curve, and everyone was disappointed with the Wii.
Yeah.
I mean, the branding was horrible anyway, but show us the system. Just put us out of our misery.
Yeah, I want a big event that celebrates what this is, and it comes out saying, this is what it is. Like, look forward to it. Here's all the cool stuff coming. And I don't want stuff like that spoiled. I want them to come out and be the ones to say it.
I think in this situation, well, first off, with the leaks, I am getting tired of hearing them, just because each one contradicts the one before, and it's to the point now where we're back to full circle to, we believe it's a hybrid. That's all we believe. But the hybrid thing has been talked about 4 years ago. I heard rumors about a hybrid was going to be their next system. Mm-hmm. I'm just to the point now where I'm just like, just show me. Just because I'm tired of the people like touting it like it's fact, and they know, and they're smarter than you because they know, when they have no clue and they're so far off the base, it's not even funny. But I just want it to be done at this point. And I think where it's a little different than like the leaks before is because if you look before E3 when the Smash leaks hit and they were like, oh, Ryu's coming and Roy's coming, and I was like, no, that's BS. And the next thing you know, video footage showed up of it, and it was like, oh god, it is true. And it's like, and I'm like Toby, I don't want to know nothing. I just want to see it when it happens. When Nintendo brings it out, I want to get excited at that moment. Nothing upsets me more than like you hear it prior, and then when it actually happens, it's like, Like,
I want to get this. I'm like you. I want that feeling of when they first showed off the GameCube. I remember watching all that on my Dreamcast hooked up to the internet on my 56k modem and watching the first demos. That's what I want for the NX. I want that kind of oh, this is it
Yeah.
feeling, which I just don't think we get. And I think I would love this to be the year that Nintendo bring back Space World. I think it's like with PSX, you know, I don't think, did Microsoft have their equivalent, or did they just?
Yeah, they had a conference of their own when the Xbox One was shown off.
I just think, you know, make it an event. Like Toby says, make this an event. The Wii U, it felt, for me, here it is.
Yeah.
And they it was half-hearted. It was, branding was a nightmare. They just didn't really seem to, you know, it just felt like an afterthought. Make the NX your.
I felt what upset me with the Wii U was the media, and I said this in a previous podcast. I just feel like the media just played dumb, and we're just like, well, what is it? Is it a peripheral or is it a new console? And it was like, if you watched the thing, they said what it was, you know. And to me, that was the biggest letdown. Was like, if I'm a fan and I just watched the same conference and I walked away and I knew, okay, we got a new console coming, for you guys, Adam Sessler, to sit there and grill Reggie right afterwards about it, and it was like embarrassing, I felt, for Adam Sessler. Like, seriously, you're questioning the guy, and the guy's telling you now it's for a console, and you're going, oh, because we weren't sure, you know.
That mentality bugged me.
What's that?
That mentality, that whole industry bugged me. It's like, even I knew it was a new console.
Yeah.
Why are you all acting like it's this? It's like, is it a tablet add-on? It's like, no, it's clearly not an add-on. You know it's not. Why are you acting like your 5-year-old who can't understand how to go inside the line? Because
what drove me crazy was the rumors leading up was what it was. There's going to be a tablet thing, controller, and this, that, the other. That was all the leaks coming out. Then when it comes out, they're like, oh, but what is it? Is it a console? Is it? Come on, you know what it is.
Nintendo didn't help the way it looks. It looks exactly like the Wii, except rounded. The name, you know, okay, that didn't help, but it clearly was something separate. That's why I think the NX is going to be, the Go cartridge is going to be very thin. It's going to look. Hopefully, it's going to look sleek, like a high class.
What color do you think is going to be?
Black.
Shiny black or matte black?
Shiny.
Shiny black.
I think we go.
They've got plenty of spare plastic left over from the Wii U's they've not sold. So.
I think they want to go. That's a good question, Toby.
So with the Wii was white.
I think they go gray, like the NES.
And the Wii U was white. I mean, yeah, the Wii U Basic is white, but obviously that didn't sell very well because it had a tiny hard drive. But I don't know. It is interesting to think about.
I think they're going to make it look inconspicuous. I think you could it'll look so inconspicuous you could sit it next to like the Nvidia Shield TV thing they've got, or the Apple TV, and you could go, oh, it's a new TV box.
So if it doesn't have a disc drive, do you think it's going to be smaller than a Wii U?
Yes.
Or about the same size?
Thinner. I'd say about, you know where the Wii U sits on your system, the kind of logo? You could probably argue it's about, if not about half the thickness of the Wii U. This is all me being a sad nerd, and I have this idea.
Do you think it's going to have like rounded corners, or is it going to be more angular? Because they might want to make it look significantly different, so people.
I think what you need to do is you need to look totally different than these two.
Yeah.
Like Allan said, because I'm looking at both of them. I'm looking at the Wii and the Wii U right now, and they do look very, very damn similar. The Wii U's bigger. Wii U is probably, as far as length, it's probably about 5 inches longer than the Wii U, or than the Wii. And the Wii U, when you put the Wii U and the Wii next to each other, they're the same height, but the Wii U is on a stand, the Wii is on a stand, about a 1 inch and a half stand, and the Wii U is just flush. So
you know that was cool about the Wii. The Wii had that angle to it.
Yeah,
because the stand made it go on a slight.
Yeah. So when you look at those things, you go, okay, yeah. I think when you looked at the NES, then you looked at the Super Nintendo, you looked at the Nintendo 64, you looked at the GameCube. Each one before kind of went in a total different direction than the one previously. I think the closest prior to this was the Super Nintendo and the N64. they were very similar looking consoles. But then when the GameCube came out, they went in a totally different direction.
I think the GameCube's quite tall, isn't it? Really? It's a big cube shape thing.
I think it's 5x5.
It's at the time, it was insane to see something that small.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And the discs were so small. I remember when I saw it, I was like, "The heck are they doing here?" But it's. Then that was kind of after the GameCube. I was done with console gaming. I was moving away from it, and I was leaving altogether. And then the Wii brought me back in.
So, what about the PS4 though? Right, the PS4 is a big console.
Yeah.
It looks good. But it's got a disk drive and it's got a big hefty hard drive in it.
Yeah, but the hard drive is only this big.
Yeah, but it's very like rectangular and big though, isn't it? It's skinny, but it's kind of big. So, I mean, if you wanted the NX to have a big hard drive, like maybe that would affect the size of it. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't lie. If you look at a teardown in the PS4, it's all fan.
Yeah.
It's all fan and heatsink. Same with the Xbox.
Yeah, because...
So if it was a low power consumption, would it need fewer fans or not?
Yeah, that's why I still stand by my theory that it's the AMD setup that they were going to use. Because it's low power, it's relatively okay GPU and CPU clock speeds, and it doesn't produce heat.
And memory-wise, it doesn't matter if they could go to a 5 terabyte hard drive in the beginning. It's still going to be a little tiny thing. Yeah. Like, because... when I switched out my hard drive in my PS4 when I first bought it, it's a little tiny thing. It's not big, it's 2 terabyte. But I took out the 500 gig, I put in the 2 terabyte, and they're the same exact size. Yeah, everything's the same about them except for what's inside of them. So that doesn't matter. Yeah. I hope that if they do go with a small memory, like a small hard drive, this time around, that they do the external hard drives are compatible with it.
USB powered. That is what I want.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good because the standalone power is a little... Because you could buy some really... you could buy cheaper USB.
Yeah, and you don't need an extra plug socket to get a bigger extension lead.
Yeah.
USB 3 as well.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure they will at this point, because you're talking, that's kind of the norm now, where we're at now with this stuff. I think that's the one thing that annoys me with the PS4, is that I couldn't just buy an external hard drive and hook it to it. I had to go change the memory out inside. That's the one thing that...
No rear USB. Don't understand that.
That's the one thing that I hate about Sony, is with the PS Vita, I had to go buy their memory cards, which were...
Yeah.
So overly priced, it wasn't even funny. $80 for a 32 gig. Like, seriously?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Insane. I bought 64 gig, $30.
All porn. All porn.
Are you saying that my YouTube videos are porn?
Yeah, it's not YouTube videos, Bob.
That's all that's on there. That's all that's on there. But so when you look at that, that's a big thing. And then when you sit there and you go, you have to physically pull out the hard drive and put in a new one. Like, I just think, what's the big deal of allowing people to hook an external hard drive to it? It makes no sense. Yeah. That stuff just boggles my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So... Okay. Now we're going to do some talk. We're going to talk some TV. And Allan and I have actually kicked around the idea of maybe starting a podcast about TV, so TV shows and stuff.
Like this?
Yeah, so if you like this section, which you probably won't because this is kind of us just flying by the seat of our pants, but if you're interested in TV...
This is going to be like the bit from last episode. If you've listened to the last episode, that's going to happen here.
What are you going to fight? You're going to fight again?
We didn't fight. You were wrong, and Toby and I were right.
That's nonsense. I was not wrong. I was 100% correct. You guys are just millennials, elitist millennials. You both live in socialist countries, and you're just used to having everything handed to you. You're just not used to working for things.
I'm keeping this for when Bernie Sanders gets to be president, and I'm just going to be like, "What was that? I can't hear you over the sound of."
I don't want to listen. I don't want to lose the 5 people that listen to us, so I'm not going to go into attacking. A few people that listen to us, I know, like Bernie Sanders, and he's not my friend.
I would say if you do enjoy what's about to happen, imagine this on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
with Allan as the host.
Oh Lord, Allan can't host anything.
I can host. I have done.
Yeah, right. And how'd that work out for you?
It was the editing that was more of the problem.
Yeah, that's exactly. If you want to host, you want to host and let Bobby edit everything. Yeah, nice.
If we're going to start #Allan to host, that's what do you think? I came up with the name for this possible idea, so I have earned it.
Coming up with a name doesn't make you the host. That's fine. You can host. That's good because you know what? I do the Inkcast with Mark, and Mark hosts, and I like it because I just show up and talk.
Yeah,
so that's good. You can do all the homework and you can do all the topics and all that. I'm good with that.
Yeah,
and I'll edit, and it's good. And that way we know the shows will get up on the air because otherwise they're not going nowhere. Did you ever post the podcast one, the Amoeba one that you and I did?
No, because somebody deleted their audio and didn't send it through properly.
That was your excuse.
No, that was. I had this wonderful blank audio file of just like okay, so you've not recorded.
I recorded, obviously. You just messed it up. We've done plenty. We've done plenty of Amoeba podcasts. We don't need to do another one. I was gonna say we could probably go back and do that again, but I don't know if I have the patience for it. And plus, things have changed dramatically since we did that.
Yeah, different times.
Okay, so how we want to kick this off? You want to talk about like what we're watching, or?
I think we can.
Okay, so for me, I'm excited because Walking Dead's coming back. You basically stopped a while back, haven't you?
I kind of fell out. Yeah, that happened because so much else came out, and it was 8 hours of TV to watch in like a few days. I'm like, no.
Now you don't have cable TV, correct?
I've got Sky TV. It's kind of our cable, if you want.
How does that work? Is it actual cable that comes in your house, or is it like a satellite type deal?
Satellite dish. In our socialist utopia where I stay, our cable companies were completely died. So Sky swooped in and took over.
So you don't have a cable company?
No.
Not just. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about your. Do people have cable there, or is it just you?
Still do. Right. In our city,
mm-hmm.
There is no cable provider at all. There's no way to get cable.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's now the model everywhere, but Sky TV, I would say, is our de facto, and that's nationally. That's the way you would kind of get your extra content.
So then that explains why your internet's not great.
That and the fact that we have a monopoly with BT, who can kind of do as they want when they want.
Yeah.
But don't.
Well, because you don't have. Again, that's why your internet.
Fiber optics, a slow rollout. Yeah.
Yeah, because we have. In the United States, we have Comcast, which is the major cable provider in the United States, and they basically almost are a monopoly in their own right. There's a few in small pockets of the country that a few left cable companies. Verizon, which predominantly was telephones when I was growing up, they have switched over. They started doing for a while DSL, and then they're now getting into fiber optics. We go to DirecTV,
mm-hmm.
and we also have a couple other Dish Network, those two, which are basically satellite systems, but they also have cable, internet. So we have a lot to choose from. And then Google apparently just started it in Minnesota a couple of years ago. They started installing fiber optics.
Oh yeah, I remember that was a big thing.
So I personally have Comcast, so my internet is pretty quick. It's pretty hefty, pretty speedy. I also have issues where they like to play games and lower the dosage that they give you and all that stuff, and you got to call them up and yell at them and stuff. But there was also another thing when we first started the podcast, the Geek Cast, I was having major issues because my router was also, or my modem was also my router, and remember getting off on a tangent, but whatever. So
we're no longer the TV show. We're now the how do you
we're the internet. Who's got the good internet show? But I'll wrap it up quick. But basically, what they were doing, what people found out what they were doing is they were sending out a free Wi-Fi signal from your router. So they were creating hotspots all throughout the world. And so if I had a Comcast account, I could go anywhere. I could pull up outside of your house and grab your internet because you have Comcast and you're throwing out a signal. So I quickly got rid of their modem. I got rid of their modem. I went and bought my own modem, bought my own router, big heavy duty, because that was the other problem. The router was packaged in and the antennas were inside. So in order for me, I'm upstairs. Okay, if you can imagine, 2-story house. On the other side of the house, downstairs in the living room, is my router and modem. You come halfway through the house, come up the stairs, and then come to the other side of the house. That's where I am sitting presently at the moment.
The west wing.
Yes, whatever what it is. What I had to do was I had to put a wireless router, like receiver, in the middle to send out a signal, a booster.
A range extender, yeah.
Yes, and I had to do that in the middle of the house upstairs so I could get internet over here. And it was never enough. I was constantly, you remember at the beginning, I was constantly dropping signal up, down. It was a mess. Every episode we had to stop, and I'd have to go restart the modem or something. And quickly I was like, I'm done with this. So yeah, that's the downfall to a monopoly. So, okay. So with your Sky network, whatever, Skynet, what do you get a lot, or how does that work for you?
I mean, they work in tiered packages, and you get like your basic TV, which you call Freeview. You can get premium, which you get your Sky Movies. You can get premium with sport, where you get your sport package. You get kids. You get it all kind of broken up, and so we've got the full set. I've got my HD box up here. Mum's got one downstairs. Got they're all DVRs. So you've got your mine's a 2 terabyte one, so you've got all your recording.
Yes,
it's not cheap.
Yeah.
And
okay, so let me throw some questions at you, and I want to see how this works for you. Obviously, American TV is predominantly, or a good portion of what you watch. Okay, so how do you watch Arrow?
I plead the fifth on that one.
Okay. How do you watch Flash?
I plead the fifth on that one.
When you were watching The Walking Dead?
I plead the fifth on that one as well.
Okay. So a lot of your TV, you're pleading the fifth to how you watch it.
Yeah.
In a realistic world, if you weren't having to plead the fifth, do you have access to these shows or no?
Yes. Yeah. All through, it's some of them are if you want to call it paywalled through Sky, because you can only get the channel. I think, well, maybe not true. Fox, we've got FX. I think that's available through Freeview.
Okay.
But then you can also get TV services through your internet providers now. BT have their own BT Home, but you need minimum 8 meg to use that, which I have 3 at best. Virgin Media have got a new system again. It's kind of a cable internet setup where it all comes through your phone line.
Okay.
But again, that's fiber better. Sky have got the same thing they're bringing out. I think it's called the Sky U box or something like that, which is going to be a different setup completely.
But in order for you to stay up to date and not get spoiled by the internet, you have to go outsource, or you have to pay an astronomical fee in order to get everything immediately. Now on these different things that you do, not those things, but like if you were to watch through Skynet or through BBT, whatever, if you were to watch them, do they come out the same time as the United States, or are they a day or two behind?
They're better at it now. It's kind of day or just day after. Can I be honest? You butchered BT. It's 2 letters.
I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. I didn't pay attention.
Like,
I said BBT. What's the difference?
Yeah, it's like it's 2 letters.
It's all garbage. What do you care? Who cares? We're talking about Scotland. Like, people care.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much how we do it. Obviously, for most of the folk will listen are probably American, but it's not it's kind of like it is in your country where there's this monopoly in some areas. Sky pretty much have this country in lockdown. It's really their way or the highway. You get the other options like Virgin, but then Sky lock the deals down on films. So what you now have are like Virgin have now got access to Sky movie channels, so they can then say, well, you can now view Sky movies. So that's how it's starting to pan out. It's
now, what about Netflix?
I have that. I've just started using it. I loved Making a Murderer. So good.
Yeah. Oh God.
It's such a good show. We're not going to make this the Making the Murderer.
Okay, let's yes, we are. Let's talk about it for a second. Because yesterday, Tony had me watch Dateline NBC. Which, if you can find the episode where you are, get it.
Yeah.
Seriously. Because apparently Stephen Avery has a new lawyer now.
I've heard that.
Who actually she's overturned 17 convictions in her time as a lawyer. Okay. She's found some stuff. She didn't want to divulge a lot, but apparently it's a lot of DNA stuff that she's
going to be stars.
Yeah.
Evidence.
So basically what this 1 hour episode was it kind of overhauled everything. It basically took Making a Murder and compacted it into a little bit. But the interesting thing was they showed a lot of the other side's talk, which wasn't in the documentary.
I've seen an advert for that in the UK.
Yes.
That's coming out, and I think it's this week, actually. It's this Thursday. It's going to be...
You need to watch it. Seriously, it's good. But the one thing, and you brought it up a while ago, the one thing, and this is, hold on. This is spoilers. If you haven't watched Making a Murderer, I suggest you stop right now, go to Netflix, and watch it. It's about, 9 episodes? 10 episodes?
10 episodes. It's 10 hours of TV.
Yeah.
Watch it in one day.
Yeah. It is gripping stuff. I assure you, watch one episode and you will be roped in like no other. It's a documentary. And trust me, it's unlike any documentary you've ever watched in your life.
You'll be shouting at your TV at points.
Yes. Absolutely. There was times where I was grandstanding in the living room and Tony's like, "You're not the lawyer. Sit down." And I'm like, I should be the lawyer. I'd be contempt of court every day, my cousin Vinny style. But anyway, the biggest question. Now we're going spoilers, so again, shut it down if you haven't watched this. The biggest issue for me, and you put it in my head, is if they killed this woman the way that they're saying. There's 2 different scenarios, and let's take the DA is trying to say that they basically Brendan and Stephen bound her, raped her, slit her throat,
shot her,
and then dragged her outside, put her body at some point in the back of her car.
Yeah.
Because there's blood stains in the back of the car. Then put her in the garage or whatever, or maybe I guess in their theory was they did the murder in the living room or in the bedroom, drug her out of the house, took her into the garage, shot her 11 times. Mm-hmm. I don't know why you would have to shoot somebody 11 times. That's
especially after you've stabbed and slit their throat.
Yeah, you got to take one shot to the head. You're really shooting them 11 times? Okay, no problem. That apparently burned the body. Yeah. But my question, and the thing that gets me, like you said, was if they slit her throat, they drug her to the garage, and he cleans up all the DNA in the house and the garage. You have a car crusher on the lot, and you leave the car there? Or, Tony said this last night, was even if you left the car there, you don't clean the DNA out of the car?
I'm not going into detail. I have knowledge of the legal system in the UK. I have knowledge of crimes in the UK and how things get done, right? And that's how I applied my thinking. Now, getting into the court thing, it's called reasonable doubt. And all you have to do is, in our country, is there a reasonable level of doubt?
Yes.
And watching that, the case, there was so much reasonable doubt just based on the evidence. Now,
and it's supposed to be that way in the United States. It's supposed to be that way.
Which is why I was more surprised about the conviction, especially when the DNA... Now, it's like you say, right? She's bound to the bed. She's raped. She's then shot. She's then slit her throat. She's then dragged, if we assume dragged into the garage where she's died, then put into the car for some reason, because they only transported her a short distance. The two of them could carry her to this pit. Where she's burnt. They only find minimal bone fragments. Well,
one thing that they let me cut you off there. The one thing in the Dateline thing that they talk about is they found her body fragments in 2 sections. So they found some of the bones right outside the garage in that pit. And then down the ways a little bit, they found more in a burn barrel, in the bottom of a burn barrel. So his lawyer, they had the one lawyer on there on Dateline, and he says, why would you burn her body further away and then bring her behind the garage where you killed her and burn her again? Makes no sense.
But the thing when we get back to the physical evidence side is, now if you watch the show, and I'm hoping you've watched the show now, if you were listening to this, they photographed the house. The house he lived in, it's pretty much what I would class as a caravan here. It's like a very long kind of box separated by small walls. There's no blood evidence. They find no blood at all. This is the thing. There's no blood. The human body has 5 quarts of blood in it. They point that out.
Yeah.
If you hit an arterial spray, if you cut someone's throat, and from what I argue, they cut the throat before they shot her.
Yes.
The blood pressure in the human body sprays blood over a very mass distance. There is zero way, if she is lying on a bed and they cut the throat, that there's no blood anywhere in that room.
Not only that, there's none on the mattress. There's none on the sheets, none on the rug. The rug was not a new rug, because you would argue, okay, maybe they changed the rugs out. It's the same rug. They never moved. They never changed the rug. So
but it's even micro spray. It's going to be
on the ceiling.
It's going to be everywhere. They then move the body in the garage. It's a concrete floor. There's no evidence. They then say it got highlighted in the case of when they brought up the fact there was no physical, because they had 5 days to clean. If you look at the house, the photographs of that house is a lived-in house. Even after the photographs were taken, that was not a house that had just been spotlessly cleaned.
And let's also take into the fact that these are not, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but they're not the cleanest group. They're junk people. They have a junkyard.
Either, as has been highlighted in the show.
Yes. So that's the other thing. But we'll get into that in a second. But not only that, like you said, so okay, they had 5 days. There was a crack in the garage, which they then went and jackhammered and took segments out because they thought, okay, they might have bleached the top. But
it'll be underneath.
Blood might have went down in, and they couldn't find any blood anywhere.
That's why I got quite annoyed. And then they contradict themselves. Like in the one case where it was the nephew, it's like, they had 5 days to clean it. Yeah, fair enough. But again, the photograph showed this house lived in.
Yeah.
It had dust lying around, more than 5 days worth.
Yeah.
Add to the fact that they stated the only physical evidence of anyone in that building that they found was Stephen Avery. Nothing for the nephew, nothing for this woman. They then go into the garage. Nothing. They then, like you said, they've got this fire pit where the burn barrel, they've moved. It's like, why would you move it? If it is a case that you have the evidence, it took them 6 months to suddenly find any physical evidence that actually tied that woman to that property.
Yeah.
Was it 6 months? Because they went back in.
They kept going back. Yeah.
They found a crushed bullet that suddenly had her DNA on it. One bullet. And
I don't think it was 6 months. I think it was more like 6 weeks.
Sorry, 6 weeks. But even then, 6 weeks is a huge. That's the only physical. Oh, and a key.
And let's do this. Let's stop. We'll put a pin in this point right here. Yeah. So the people at this point might be going, if you have watched it, you know what's going on. But if you haven't watched it and you're still here, well, why would they frame them? And it's because he was arrested and put in jail for 18 years for a crime he did not commit.
Yeah.
He had a $3.6 million lawsuit, not only against the county, but against the arresting officers and the officer that turned a blind eye to information that he was going to, that he didn't do the crime, that we had someone else that admitted that he did it in jail.
It was actually 36 million.
Oh, that's right. 36 million. My bad.
He was going to destroy that the county. I mean, there was no way they could pay it, and suddenly, for me, because I think if we go into it, we're going to kind of just get lost in the.
So then one of the cops, the sheriffs that was named in the lawsuit, he's the one that found the key. That, mind you, they searched this house for 4 days. 4 days. He's the one that found the key
in open air. Oh, look, it's here.
Yeah, it's laying on the ground here. Oh yeah, okay.
This is also from the department that said at the very beginning of that case, we are going to have no direct involvement. They were going to be a support capacity.
Yeah, Manitowoc County.
It was Manitowoc County officers that found all of the, if you will, incriminating evidence.
Yes.
Which, and again, what really annoyed me was when they tested the bullet, they found their DNA. However, the control sample for the DNA test was tainted. They only had enough for the one test, which means that test should have been inadmissible because, well, you cannot now say that your test is correct. Yeah. Oh, well, no, it's fine. It's admissible. It's like, never fly in this country.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it flew there. And it's like a perfect storm of, okay, one thing you'll let off to allow, fair enough, but it just seemed to be a series of, we'll make exceptions, we'll push what is acceptable to get conviction. And it annoyed me. It's the one show I've watched where I'm just like, gritting. I was just like, how is this happening?
Yeah. So, okay. So now we go back. They find the bullet in the garage. Weeks after the fact, the same cop that found the keys now miraculously finds the bullet. The other cop who was named in the case, also they have him a radio transmission where he calls in to dispatch and reads off a license plate number.
Yeah.
The dispatch comes back and says, yes, that's the missing girl.
Yeah.
And he goes, blue Toyota?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thanks. Which
that's another thing.
Which leads you to believe that he's looking at the car when he reads this stuff. Because he's saying, nobody gave me the license plate.
Yeah.
Well, then where did you get the license plate number from? If nobody gave you the license plate number, and why would you call into dispatch and ask about, because in the United States, what'll happen is if you're looking for something or you see a suspicious vehicle or whatever, you'll call in the license plate, see if there's any warrants out on it or anything suspicious about it.
Yeah, same here.
And so when he called out the license plate, the dispatch came back and said, that's the missing girl.
He then he corrected on what kind of car before ending it, which means if you, inferring reasonably, you were looking at that car.
Yeah.
How else would you know what it was if you don't know, if no one told you? Here's it just so much went wrong.
My thing is this, and me and Tony were talking about this yesterday. If Stephen Avery, he's questionable at best. There's a lot of contradictory evidence back and forth. I don't know in my heart of hearts if he's innocent or not. He spent 18 years in jail. Could have changed him big time. Maybe he turned into a murderer. That's very possible. Crazier things have happened. What I find to be the biggest miscarriage of justice is what they did to this kid, his nephew, Brendan Dassey. And the main reason is because they fed him answers the entire time. And it's like, because if you watch this kid, here's a 16-year-old kid being questioned without a parent, without a lawyer. How is any of that testimony even admissible?
Well, that's the thing that got me. In our country, if you are below the age of 18,
yes,
you are classed as a child. Whether or not you think that's correct, I don't
No,
know.
that's true. That's how it is in the United States too.
Yeah. But before you get to be spoken to by the police, the system is now set up that you will speak to a solicitor,
Yes.
even if you don't want to.
Yes.
You will have to speak to a solicitor. So you don't get an option.
Yeah.
You will be taken in. You will then be told, right, we'll phone them, you'll speak to them. And if they go, I don't want it, it's like, don't matter, you're going to be doing it. You speak to them, off you go.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you'll have to have what's known as a suitable adult. Now, that's for people that have got learning difficulties. Brendan Dassey is a child with a sub 70 IQ.
Yes.
No suitable adult, no parent, no social work, nobody in with him.
No.
It's just him versus two cops.
He's in special education as well, which is for slower students.
But
by all
it
means.
Continued to be, even when he was charged, they then did that photo thing where he wanted them to write the thing out, which was videotaped. It's him again on his own. He's in prison. Why is there no social work there? Yeah. Why is he being...
He's with his lawyers, his court-appointed lawyers investigator. Yeah. And he's pushing him because he's telling him to draw, and he's telling him what to draw on the thing.
They create the narrative that he picks, and then he's giving them what they want because he thinks if he reinforces it. Again, I have theories about who did kill her, right? But I think that the way the whole investigation got handled, from at least what we've seen, because again, there's stuff that we didn't see because it's TV, they didn't follow every line of inquiry. They had who they wanted it to be.
Yes. Same as when they convicted him for the rape.
Yeah.
That was all set up as well.
They never go, and they said something. They didn't look at the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend. They didn't look at the roommate. They just, they wanted it to be Stephen Avery. Now, it might have been. Yeah. And, it could be that Stephen Avery is playing everyone and he's a bloody criminal mastermind and he's sat there going, I've put enough. But it could also very well be that by not investigating there, you've given an opportunity. I mean, he went to such great lengths to clean his house and the only DNA that was left was his own. Yeah. Yet he keeps the Honda RAV4 or whatever it was, covers it with a branch, doesn't even burn the thing out, doesn't set it on fire. Yeah. Doesn't crush it.
He has a crusher. He has a crusher with equipment there. Why wouldn't you put the thing in the crusher, crush it, bury it, and then put cars on top of it? Exactly. Nobody ever would have found it.
You don't even need to do that. He just needs to burn it and crush it.
Well, yeah.
That's all he needs to do. Doesn't do it. It annoys me. When I think about just everything, the reasonable doubt and just everything else, it just annoys me that it went that way. And when you watch how they handled it in court and just the concessions they made,
now the Brendan Dassey stuff.
Yeah.
When I was 17 years old, I was arrested. Myself and a group of friends, about 9 of us, decided to be a smart idea to go out and play mailbox baseball. And so we decided to, around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, drive around town. And I had a pickup truck, and there was kids in the back that were swinging a baseball bat and knocking mailboxes off the thing. I was arrested. All of us were arrested. When I went to the police station, they put us in holding cells. They tried to separate us the best they could. When I went in to be interrogated by the police, when I walked in the room, my mom was sitting there. And I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble. Like, not for any other reason than the fact of, like, I didn't think she knew about it at this point. I'm hanging out in the holding cell, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, how am I going to tell my mom? And I walk in, and there she is. And it's like, oh man. Now, how in the world? And at that point, they say to my mom, do you want to get a lawyer, or is it okay for us to question with you here? And my mom said, we can question with me here. How in the world the same situation wasn't done with this kid blows my mind. So because I know what happened to me when I was 17 years old, how it's not then done with this kid on numerous occasions. 3 separate occasions this kid was interrogated by cops or investigators and never had his mom or his lawyer present. How in the world is that possible? That should have been thrown out immediately.
That's what annoys me about the whole thing is due diligence. This kid ain't right. Get him a social worker. It's simple. It's not hard. It's not questionable. The social worker is not a lawyer, but it kind of smacks that they didn't want anyone that might have advised them. You might want to get a lawyer.
Yeah,
with what they're doing.
And then the other good.
So they kind of were treating him like a witness, and I don't buy the mum. The mum's not, from my point of view, looking at her, she's not probably going to be what we class as mum of the year.
No, but
I do believe that when they asked her, she didn't want to sit in with them, despite her revelation at one stage that they never gave me that option. It's like, no, they probably did. You just didn't want to go in.
Possibly.
But just.
Or they could have just worded it to her that, like, hey, we're going to go in, we're going to talk to him for a few minutes, everything will be fine, we're just going to ask him some questions about Steven, and made her believe that it was no big deal for her to be there or not.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's such an annoying. Oh, it gets my blood boiling.
The other thing is towards the end when they're taking Steven to trial. The whole time, Steven's lawyers are trying to get Brendan to not be able to testify. Mm-hmm. So the DA is dropping charges against Steven that basically involve Brendan. And in Steven's trial, they go, okay, she wasn't raped. She wasn't held against her will, so she wasn't held hostage. And she wasn't killed. Or attempted murder didn't happen in the house. Those 3 charges that they dropped against Steven were all charges that were against Brendan.
Aye.
How do they drop the charges against Steven and then turn around and admittedly, and this is the part that blows my mind. I get why the DA did it, because he's just trying to get convictions. He's trying to get people convicted, and it is what it is. How this kid's lawyer didn't go into court that day and go, wait a minute, you threw these charges out against his uncle.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is the kid kidnapped her, he tied her to the bed, and he raped her. But that's not what you're saying in the case. You're saying that his uncle tied her to the bed, and told the kid to go rape her. 2 total contradictory cases. Yeah. I did not get it. I don't understand how that was even allowed to happen. The minute they threw them charges out against Steven, this kid should have been let go free. My feeling.
Yeah. But that's the thing, and it just smacks of trying to create a best case for each thing. But like you're saying, well, if you're saying he didn't, but you're saying he did, why you can't have it's 2 bites of that cherry. You can't say one did one did the other.
Yeah.
If you're saying Stephen Avery is the big kingpin, well, then he orchestrated it. If you're saying Brendan Dassey was just a pawn, you can't charge him with doing that because you're not. But remove it from him. The whole thing.
Let me throw something at you.
Anyone else that's watching it.
This came to me yesterday. Now, I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a second, because I do believe that they're innocent and they were framed or whatever.
Yeah.
But let's play devil's advocate for a moment. What if Stephen Avery did this and Brendan Dassey did this?
Yeah.
And Stephen grabbed Brendan and said, look, they're going to arrest me. Short time after they arrest me, if they question you, admit that we did it. Say that we did it. Don't, whatever happens, whatever. So now, in the United States, we have a thing called double jeopardy. If they try you on something and you are not convicted, they cannot try you again. No matter what evidence comes up later.
Yeah.
They cannot try you once you've been found not guilty for something. So let's throw it into play that Stephen did do this. Brendan was a part of this. because it was Steven's. Obviously, Steven's going to play his part of, I didn't do it. Brendan didn't have nothing to do it. I don't understand why he's saying he had to do anything to do with it. Steven's lawyers get Brendan kicked out, which really isn't what Steven wants. But I think in his mind, he thought, hey, they'll never allow this. These charges will never drop. What if in Steven's mind, his idea was to have Brendan come in and say, I did it. I did all this. He didn't, when they go to court, when it actually goes to court, he didn't have anything to do with it. Then when it comes time for the other trial, because there is no evidence of Brendan even being there because it was all cleaned up, they go to the other trial. Brendan doesn't go up on the stand because he doesn't have to. And Steven then comes in and goes, Brendan didn't have anything to do with this. This was me or whatever. Or whatever, just because he knows there's no evidence against Brendan in that place. And both of them get off. And both get out.
Yeah. Yes.
It'll
be interesting. The next few years are going to be interesting, especially if his lawyer can, because I think they're doing it pro bono, aren't they?
I believe she is. Yes, I believe she is. Which, that's the other thing. Like, as much as I like the two lawyers that he had, I got some problems with them. And my problems is this. I felt like they were just there for the money. And most lawyers are. Not all. There are some good lawyers out there. And there are some good people out there. But I feel like if you are now talking about how strongly you feel he is innocent, then when that case was done, you should have kept fighting all along. Yeah. Steven had different lawyers later in appeals, and that shouldn't have been the case. They should have been there for the whole entire time. And I also feel that they should have went. Now, they didn't talk about this, and maybe it did happen. I don't know. But I feel like they should have went there to try to help the lawyers or taken over the trial for Brendan Dassey. And that didn't happen. So it kind of like, I just felt like if you really gave a damn, and the guy paid you a lot of money. It wasn't like he paid you a little bit of money. He paid you a lot of money. Because what did he settle a court case for? Like $400,000?
Yeah.
And he paid his lawyers that were trying that case like $160,000.
Yeah.
And then the balance went to the other two that went. So you got paid a hefty sum. I get you have other cases to handle, all that stuff. But I just feel like if you're sitting here and you're saying how innocent this guy is, part of you would want to prove it and go and jump through hoops and do whatever you had to do to prove that he was innocent. That's a little bit of the issue I have.
Yeah,
but
it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
It's very interesting because they're talking about, they're saying that they have some, I guess, to do with the DNA in the truck, because what she says in this documentary, or not this documentary, but this Dateline interview was, now they don't interview her for very long. It's maybe like a 30 to 40 second interview section as she's walking in to go see Steven.
Yeah.
But she's got some DNA stuff because she's saying that there's new tests and stuff that are going on.
Yeah.
They believe that blood came from the vial. They also talk about she went out and bought a RAV4, the same make, same model, because she wants to understand how his DNA could have gotten underneath. Because that's the other thing they don't talk about in the documentary. Under the hood is apparently DNA of Stephen Avery. So they're trying to figure out how that got there as well. Yeah. Now, they did, during the Dateline thing, they did bring some people in to discuss how the pinhole got in the top of the vial. And apparently that's just because that's how the samples are taken. They said that the one thing that was definitely missing was, I guess, when they seal it, there's tape.
Yeah, the tape
goes around.
Broken.
Yeah, well, no, the tape on the package, yes. But there's also, when you have the vial, between the topper and the vial is a piece of tape that goes around with information written on it. That tape is completely missing. Oh. So that's where they felt the tampering really truly took place. Not with, they don't think that someone put a needle in and pulled it out. They feel that because of the tape missing around it, that is evidence to them. They feel that someone pulled the tape off, opened it up, took some blood out, and then resealed it or whatever.
Just not properly.
Just not properly, yeah. Because that's another big point to me is they get this evidence because during the rape trial, they pulled a blood sample from him to test to see if because when he first went to jail for the rape, there was no DNA testing.
No.
Years later, they come up with this DNA testing, and that's how he gets off because they take DNA from this guy that supposedly did it, and they take DNA from Steven, and the guy that supposedly did it, turns out he did do it.
Yeah.
But the problem was because it was so long, they kept Stephen Avery in jail for so long, the statute of limitations were up on the other guy, and they couldn't retry him and convict him for it. So he was in prison for another rape, but they couldn't go back and add and tack on more time.
There's no chance. But then it was also the fact that because they got him, he went out and he raped a woman or sexually assaulted a woman while Avery was in. So that's on them.
Now, here's another kicker. Going back to the rape stuff, the rape trial, right after they give her, after she picks him out in the lineup and all that stuff, a couple weeks later, you have the Manitowoc County Sheriffs and the police department. They're not the same group. No. The sheriffs are the ones that are going after him. The police department contact the rape victim and say, we have another guy that looks like Stephen Avery and has other rapes and sexual charges against him. We'd like you to come take a look at him. She calls the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department says, don't go talk to them. This isn't their jurisdiction. We'll look into it and we'll get back to you. But we don't want to confuse you by you going over and talking to them. So they kept her away from. And it turns out the guy was the guy who turns out later on and goes and rapes another girl, and they could have had him locked up.
It continued. They seem to have it in for that boy, but like you're saying, it could be that he is. It's like I'm saying, he could be a criminal genius, but time will tell. I think
he could be a criminal genius, but look, between me and you, he doesn't seem like the smartest bulb of the bunch. So I don't see. That's my thing. I don't see all this being true. I just don't think that he has the brains to do it, and I don't think that his nephew did it either. Like, I just don't think it was the case. I think that his nephew's unfortunately his nephew's stupid, and not stupid in a mean term. He's not bright. He's not a smart kid.
Yeah,
he has an IQ of 70, which at 16 years old was his IQ of 70, and it's just not. Yeah. And you can go on YouTube and watch the entire 3-hour interrogation of him in the school. And it's like, not only that, like, you got this kid for 3 hours. You don't give him lunch. You don't give him, like, it just blows my mind. The whole handling is just
shoddy.
Yeah, at best.
Best.
So that's all. That's all I got. What about you? Anything else before we wrap it up?
No. That kind of went off on a tangent, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, but it was good. It was good.
But that's why I wanted to do the TV show.
Yes.
The kind of podcast. So really, anyone that listens to it, give Bobby your feedback. Give me your feedback, because I want to do the show. I want to host it because I'm a great host.
That's fine. You can host it. I'll edit it.
And I would like to discuss the nerdy TV, the Doctor Who's. Give you my opinion about the Legends of Tomorrow and how I think White Canary's hygiene is questionable at best, and go from there.
Oh, Lord. So that is all. Thank you guys for listening to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, if that's how you check this out. If you watch this video on YouTube, we appreciate that as well. You can follow Allan, Instagram, Twitter, at Allan_Paxton. Toby, who's not here at the moment, but was here earlier. He is at Amiibo_workshop on Instagram. On Twitter, he is at Toby's_take. Myself, Bobby, I am at the Geek Gurus, both Instagram and Twitter. That is all. Peace, mother.
Love me.